What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Unique Mazik. I am the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and it is my pleasure today to talk some football with heavy on sports, Allison Kohler. We're going to talk some Pittsburgh Steelers and wherever else the conversation takes us. How you doing today, Allison?
I'm great, Brian. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. So the Steelers are an interesting team to discuss this year, in my opinion. Like, it's, we're used to usually, them being right in the thick of things in the AFC conversation. I'm not sure. I don't know who's sure where they fit in that, but I do think it's interesting. And one of the biggest reasons I think it's interesting, obviously, is because of Ben Roethlisberger. He's 39 years old. It's about time we start talking about ABR, which in my estimation is after Ben Roethlisberger. So talk to me a little bit about what you see. I mean, you've covered this list for a long time. What do you see in regards to just their, when you had a quarterback with a team this long, there's people who are fans who don't even remember, young people who are fans who don't even remember the Steelers before Roethlisberger. So kind of, tell me what you think about like this franchise moving forward.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that like as you said, there's generations of fans that don't know a Pittsburgh Steelers team without Ben Roethlisberger at the helm, and I think it's good in a way that they don't, because before Ben Roethlisberger, we have BBR.
Yeah,
there was a slew of really, really horrible quarterback play. And it went on, basically, essentially after Terry Bradshaw retired until Ben Roethlisberger came to Pittsburgh or was drafted in Pittsburgh in 2004. There was just a whole bunch of, they suffered. They suffered greatly. I think they did have a little bit. I'm going off topic a bit, but they did have a little bit of a great quarterback before his time in Cordell Stewart. A lot of people remember Slash, because he was a very mobile quarterback. He was sort of ahead of his time, so to speak. But they really didn't have that franchise kind of quarterback until Ben Roethlisberger came along. And I feel like they're in deep trouble. I don't know that they're not showing, and maybe general manager Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin, they're not showing any sense of urgency in that they don't seem like they are ready to replace Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
And they don't have his replacement, at least not a long-term replacement, currently on the roster.
Yeah,
Mason Rudolph is a stopgap. He's the best that they have right now, and that's not saying much.
Yeah, so it's if you look at what they have, they, took a flyer with Dwayne Haskins to kind of see if they could help revitalize his career. I don't think we've seen anything that would make us believe that, either franchise or anybody else is super high on that. I'm going to read something to you that Ben Roethlisberger said, and this is when he decided to take less money for his, to restructure his deal this year. And I found it to be really quite indicative of why it's pretty hard to move on from him. Just this statement is pretty heavy. He says, "It is my greatest honor to be a Pittsburgh Steeler and give my all for this organization. I am grateful to be at this stage of my career and more than happy to adjust my contract in a way that best helps the team address other players who are so vital to our success. I love this game and love to compete, and I believe in this team and my ability to deliver when called upon. It all starts with great preparation, and I am ready to go." So this is what he said before the season when he restructured his deal. I'm trying to tell you, I don't know. I'm not saying he didn't write it or whatever, but you could not have penned a more appropriate letter or message to an organization or a fan base as a 39-year-old quarterback way past his prime, totally humbled, despite the fact that he's been to 6 Pro Bowls, won 2 Super Bowl championships, all of this stuff. And he is presenting himself in the absolute most selfless manner possible. So if there are like hardcore Ben Roethlisberger fans in Pittsburgh, which obviously there are, it almost puts the organization in a position where if you walk away from the dude who just wrote that letter, it's like you're a cold-hearted group of individuals over there. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like there comes this very uncomfortable time when you've had a long-standing relationship with a player of Roethlisberger's standards and status, where somebody has to untie the rope. And usually whoever unties the rope is the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a lot of fans that were ready to move on from Ben Roethlisberger after last season. Mm-hmm. And I get that. You know, he is old. As you mentioned, you know, we say 39, but that's 100 in football years.
Yes,
you know, and he just doesn't. He can get the job done better than anybody else on the roster right now. But he's not their future anymore. And I think that they need to start looking at who that could be. And my concern is that A, he's not on the roster, and B, you know, you look at the class of 2022. You know, the draft class of quarterbacks, and they're you know what I mean? It's scary. Yeah. So I sort of, they may be in for a rough road. It could be, I don't know that it's going to be, you know, that gap from like 1983 to 2004, like it was between Bradshaw and Roethlisberger. But, you know, as we know, franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees. You know, I think I would have liked to have seen a situation where, sort of like a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers kind of thing in a perfect world, you know, where they drafted a quarterback who was capable of filling his shoes, and he just sort of learned under him for however long, you know, until he was ready, and until Ben, you know, was ready to hang up the cleats. But it's just not looking like that's going to be, you know, the case right now. And even like you'd mentioned, with the quarterbacks who retire and the guys, the situation, they have a plan in place. The Saints, in particular, with Jameis Winston, I think just got really lucky.
Yeah.
You know, because I think Drew Brees, it seemed like it was pretty much a surprise. I mean, we don't know. Maybe it wasn't, you know, within the Saints organization. But they need to have somebody, you know, who can take over the team. And right now, you know, it may come, you know, as a free agent in the off seasons.